Hello and welcome back to the Property Empress Podcast. My name's Richard and with me is Anna Pierce. Good afternoon, Anna.
Hi, Richard. Hello, everyone.
Now, we're not going to beat around the bush because I've just had the preview of the episode for 10 minutes. And this is officially going to be the most important podcast we have ever done. And it is the one you definitely need to listen to.
Yes.
There you go. That is the intro. That's all you're getting. The end. Now, the markets are, there's loads of stories and crazy stuff going on in the market and headlines. And we want to explain to you why this is the most important podcast that you're going to listen to. And Anna is going to explain why this is probably the best time ever to invest. I mean, it's always the best time to invest, isn't it? As we're going to go over, but especially now. So, Anna, why should people listen to this podcast, and why is it so important for people to get started?
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, basically, there's so much that's going on in the market at the moment. The financials, like the interest rates, the mortgage rates, and what we're seeing is the house prices are starting to drop, as you would expect. And I'm going to kind of go into more detail, but basically the reason it's so important and the reason I want to shine a big light on this is that if in fact, two things. One of the things that people say most to me, or one of the things I read a lot online is, I'm not investing because house prices are about to come down. And I just think it's one of the biggest misconceptions about the property market. But prices are actually coming down now. So I'm like, well, now that big excuse that people use is taken away. So either it's just a fear that they're saying, a fear that is presenting itself as an excuse, or genuinely people wanted house prices to come down before they started investing, in which case now is the time. But really, for me, as a professional investor, I've been doing this 12 years. We started post credit crunch in a flat market. And then obviously the prices are going up. So I'm about to have completed a complete cycle. So I will have done a flat market, an uplifted market, a booming market, and then now a price drop. But the really interesting thing for me is that Drew and I had a conversation fairly recently about, wouldn't it be incredible if you could have hindsight? Can you imagine if you knew how to do property and you were at the beginning of the 2007, say, and you then, as prices started to drop, if you knew what was going to happen, if you could kind of go back to yourself in 2007, give yourself all the wisdom and then say, well, this is what's going to happen. Drew and I were like, freaking heck, there's so much we could do. Buying the cheaper properties. I'm going to go into more detail about why it's so incredible, but effectively getting cheaper properties, but still the same rents, working with angel investors, everything. It's just everything coming together beautifully. So as someone who's been doing this for a long time and teaching this for a long time, I'm like, these are such incredible conditions. And they don't, although the papers like to every year, the prices are about to burst, or about to drop. Genuinely, the prices are coming down. But when you understand what's happening, what's likely to happen, you don't have to panic and run away. You can actually lean in and go, well, here are the opportunities. And I know a lot of people are triggered by the idea of, you're going to go in and get, but it's again, understanding the market, not letting the triggers and the ill-informed, minority stop you doing it. Because actually, and again, I'm going to talk in more detail, there is such blessings in professional investors being in the market at this time. We are not trying to rip anyone off or get, bargain basement sale price or purchase prices. We're genuinely trying to get as many houses as possible because we offer good quality accommodation for our tenants, but also people who are selling. Some people are in a really, really difficult situation, and dealing with someone like us compared to a national company who's going to scalp, basically just buy as cheap, 25%, 40% automatic discount and then put it straight back on the market. That we're a legitimate company trying to provide really good houses. So it's to help our business to grow and help, provide a really invaluable service at this time. So yeah, in terms of why should it be the most important why is it the most important podcast we've ever done? Because I can't shout this loudly enough. The next few months is going to be an incredible time to invest. And for all the people over the years who've said, oh, I'm going to wait till Brexit, I'm going to wait till the pandemic, I'm going to, oh, price is about to crash. Well, now's the time, people. So I want to give a little bit of help and guidance and share what I'm going to be doing and what I would be doing if I was a new investor.
There you go. Yes. I have also heard all those excuses, and I've used most of them myself. You know, now's not a good time, I'm not in the right position, like I said, the market's not right. You can find an excuse for everything that you want to do. If you don't want to do something, then you can find an excuse to do it or not do it, whichever way around. So, yeah, I'm fascinated to find out what you're going to say, where people should go, because it's going to be a big question, and I know a lot of people are asking the same things. You know, I think a lot of people are thinking, "Oh, now's the time to get out of the market."
Yeah.
Which is
not true.
Not true at all.
It depends. Maybe it is. I mean, if you were going to sell your property, you should have done it Richard's beautiful timing with selling your property. If you're going to do it like a few months ago. If you're putting your property on the market now, there's nothing. And that's what I'm going to talk about. There's nothing. We actually went on property viewings yesterday. We've started investing while everyone else has run scared. And that's what I'm talking about. If you read all the inspirational quotes, like particularly if you're on my Instagram stories, I always leave an inspirational quote at the end of the day. And maybe I'll try and remember to do that today. But I can't remember who does it, but there's a really good quote about, like, you know, being there when everyone's running and not losing your head. Or anyway, I'll see if I can find it. But the idea is we're going to keep our head, understand what the market's doing, and work out the best way to invest in a very pragmatic, sensible, investor-head way. Basically. So I'm going to break it down into what's currently happening in the markets, my prediction for what's going to happen the next couple of years, and then I'm going to share my strategy.
All right. Well, we're all ready. We're all ears.
When I say my strategy, I mean our strategy, Richard, because I'm taking you with me.
Oh, okay. We're going, people. We're off.
Did I not mention that?
No, I forgot to tell me. Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but just in case you don't, actually, there was 3 or 4 podcasts ago, we talked about what's going on in the markets at the moment. Basically, the base rates have been put up and they are likely to keep going up a little bit more. But mortgage rates have gone incredibly high. When I spoke to my mortgage broker last week, which is what's triggered this for me. Like, it really got me deep into what was going on, looking at what was happening in the market. I spoke to estate agents, I spoke to all my key financial advisors, and I was like, this is definitely happening. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely now property prices going to start coming down. We're going to start reading in the papers. Prices, it's a very slow thing. The data we have for property prices are usually a good couple of months old. So we're going to see in the next few months probably. And by the way, I'm going to caveat all of this with, I might be horribly wrong. I don't think I am. But in 6 months' time, if I was horribly wrong, prices don't come down, then, you know, egg on my face. And I will absolutely own up to that. But this hasn't been a guess. This has been an informed decision based on talking to my key advisors, knowing the property market. I know the property market if you watch my TikToks, and going and speaking to us. So this is all based on information I have gleaned, and I've put everything together. But if I'm wrong, you are very welcome to come and tell me I'm wrong. I'm sure if I was on TikTok, I have no doubt there is.
You don't have to prompt that, yeah.
So interest rates have gone up. They're likely to keep going up. When I spoke to my mortgage broker and I talked about the mortgage rates, he said, he gave me, I've got it on my pad next to me, but he gave the rates. It was something like 5.8%, 70%. So for a buy-to-let property, 70% loan to value, 5.8%. And that's a 5-year fixed term mortgage. It's buying in a limited company. And I was like, what? And then he told me the rates at HMOs, serviced accommodation. We talked about the shorter rates. And I was like, that was the massive light bulb moment. I was like, they don't want you to take out a mortgage. They're putting massive barriers in. And there's this thing that tradesmen do If they're too busy or don't want a job and they get asked to quote, they'll send a quote, but they'll overinflate it. And in fact, I did this, one of my brand partnerships. I liked, but I wasn't massively keen on. So I doubled my rates and they said yes. So people do this, like you up your rates if you genuinely don't want people to do it. But it's like, well, from a bank's perspective, I'm a bank. I can't say no, really. So I'll just put massive barriers to entry to try and put people off. They're trying to put people off because what they want to happen is they want prices to come down to stop inflation at being 10%. Their target is 2%. It's currently like 10% or over. So they're trying to bring prices down. They're trying to bring lots of things down. And so basically the intention, as far as I can see, this is my interpretation, is they're actively trying to bring down the property prices. I have a whole thought process behind why and who is doing this. That's for another time. But basically they're actively trying to bring prices down, but they don't want it to bottom out. They're just going to bring it down by probably 10%. Again, I'll come on to that in a minute. But they're trying to actively bring prices down by basically not allowing mortgages to happen, or putting massive barriers to entry out. So the general feel is, and I'm trying to think where this comes from, but basically what I've been told, because I already felt, I was like, these rates aren't sustainable. This has to be a short-term thing. So when I took my buy-to-let course a couple of weeks ago, I was like, and this was just me going, I know the market. I was like, they can't keep these high. It will have to settle next year. When I spoke to my mortgage broker, he said the same thing. He said in Easter next year, we're expecting the mortgage rates to come down to make it more affordable, because of course by Easter, the papers are going to go, the property prices are coming down. So the mass hysteria that the papers whip up will work. But like I said, they don't want to actually wipe 50% off. So in Easter, they'll start making it more, they'll start giving mortgages again and allowing people like you and me to go out and start buying houses again. Because as there's more people buying houses, like the people who know, well, the price is coming down, now I need to fill my boots. Like the big corporate, there's a comment on one of my TikToks the other day, all the big corporate banks, buying 50. Someone said that Lloyd's are buying 50,000 buy-to-lets, are in the process of buying 50,000 cheap buy-to-lets because of everything that's going on. So everyone, like the big banks and the investors who understand, will be filling their boots. So as you then have a little bit more demand in the market, and then they'll probably go, oh, we're going to, improve rates. And they'll do these incentives so that the government look like they're saving the day. It's not. This was all preempted. They're going to try and, so as the prices come down, they'll start incentivizing, start trying to, lessen the impact. And then probably what will happen, I'm kind of going into the next part, but we'll hit that probably 15% drop and recover and at plateau at 10%. What my mortgage broker has said is 7%, which I don't agree with, but he might know, or I would be surprised if that happens, but he might know something I don't know, and that's absolutely fine. Bear in mind, he's speaking to banks. He's getting this from the banks. It's like a good source of information. So basically what's happening is we're expecting rates to be a little bit better next year. And then the drop to happen 7%, maybe 10%, maybe more, but plateau at, 10%. And the rates to get slightly better next year. So a lot of people I'm talking to who are worried about their mortgage rates. I'm like, when does your fixed term end? And if they're like, oh, middle of next year, end of next year, I'm like, you'll be fine. They'll be much higher than you're used to, but they won't be the rates that you're getting now. It's unfortunate if you have your rates coming out of their period now. Talk to a good mortgage broker. They'll be able to talk you through it. If it was me, I don't know, actually. I don't know what all the rates are, but I'd be looking at a shorter. Either can I stay in the standard variable rate till this rate starts to settle, or I'd be looking at, can I just do a 1-year term and then do something better next year? I wouldn't be fixing these high rates for 5 years. That's why I'm like, they're actively putting you off, because it's an insane, the highest rates possible for 5 years is insane. So only the absolute most desperate people, unfortunately, would go for that. And there will be some. Anyway, I'm on a rant, Richard. Is there anything? I also was like, I don't want this to be too long. Is there anything at this point? I'm going to go into, I've kind of talked about my prediction, to be honest, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is, like, a little bit more on what I think is going to happen. But is there anything else at this point that you think I should include, or? Questions?
I didn't interrupt. Go for it. No. This is great. You just carry on. I'm going to be. I'm here. Don't worry.
So yeah, my prediction, I think I'm going on the credit crunch. I think that what we're seeing, what I was told, what I have been told by various people, what I'm seeing in the market, I think we're going to see the same thing. So I would encourage you, if you're really interested in this stuff, to go on Land Registry House Price Index and look at what happened. Look at the timings. I was doing this with a client the other day. We were going, well, at what point did, one thing I do want to check is that what were the rates doing when the prices start dipping, but basically go and have a little look at the peak and then watch as the prices came down. I think it took a good year and a half for prices to properly come down and then start to bounce back. And then we had this really interesting phase of they were kind of fluctuating a little bit for a good few years. I think it was 2012, 14 when it started really going up again. I think the plateau ended I think in 2012. So bearing in mind it kind of started end of 2007, I think, beginning of 2008. So 2008, 9, 10, 11. So we had 4 years of, a drop, plateau, and then eventually uplift. But have a look at the graph, basically. But that's what I'm expecting. So when we think that it will maybe take about a year and a half to drop and then kind of steady itself, I guess, probably a year and a half, maybe to steady itself. And then we're going to have a flat period for a few years. And then eventually it'll start going up again. It's then going, well, this is our best example of the most recent history we've had something like this. And it won't be exactly the same. It's very different from the 90s, which had a very similar drop and recovery and then plateau, but it plateaued for 10 years or something. It plateaued for much longer, but because they didn't chuck any incentives at it. With the credit crunch, they actually chucked more incentives at trying to get the prices going again. And then it got out of hand. And then they're like, oh, bring prices down again. It's crazy. When they talk about the cycle of house prices, particularly when you look at the 18-year property cycle, because he looks at hundreds of years worth of lands data, I'm like, no, you just need to understand what's going on with the powers that be. And it's not a property cycle. It's not a natural cycle. It's being forced. Anyway,
yeah,
I get off my rant. So when you can understand the likelihood of maybe the next year and a half, or certainly 2023 will be probably property prices coming down, then you can be like, well, what should I do? Because realistically, can you imagine if you were going to go, if you knew sales were coming, you'd be like, well, I'll wait for the sale to be there. I'll wait for it to be the cheapest it'll be. And that this is a terrible metaphor. But the idea is you would want prices to drop and then buy, which makes sense. If it didn't take 6 months to get a property, because it takes, if you have an offer accepted, not good timing to use this, but it takes usually 5 months from having an offer accepted to getting the keys for a property. So what you don't want to do is go, right, prices have dropped, to the absolute drop, before they potentially rebound. Then I'll go start looking at houses. No. What you want to be doing really is 6 months before, in my opinion, at least, you want to be setting down the groundwork. So you want to be ready. You want to be up and running for when prices do drop, when they do hit that kind of down point. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm kind of going into my strategy a bit here. So for me, we're going to be over the next kind of few weeks, we're going to, and again, I think the podcast should be entirely focused on this going forward, what we're doing. So direct to vendor, for me, I love direct to vendor. I've always loved direct to vendor. I love talking to people, helping people, people who want some kind of guarantee with their house sale, wants to have some kind of time pressure, that kind of thing. Direct to vendor is going to come back with a vengeance, and I'm here for it. So I'm going to be setting up our direct to vendor again. It didn't really work the last 3 years because stuff you could put it on the market, it would go straight away. There was no need for someone to be speaking to us really, or there's a much smaller need. So direct to vendor is going to be, I'm going to do it in a massive way, and also building relationships with estate agents. And that's what we started yesterday. So we're doing it quite early really, as prices are starting to drop, We're getting in with the estate agents. We're having the conversations. They've got nowhere else to be. There was no one there. Like all the estate agent, we had 4 viewings. Every single estate agent was like, oh, because we were like, oh, what have you got on for the rest of the day? And they're like, oh, I've had all my viewings cancelled. Or, oh, no, nothing else. And you don't have to be a genius to realise. We went into one of the offices. There were 3. Bear in mind, it's a Saturday at like 3:00. There were 3 estate agents there. The phone wasn't ringing. Like they were just sat around and we were chatting to them. But that's. Do you know what I mean? This is the good stuff. We got the space to chat with them. We were asking them about market. Like, are you local? Like talking. We got all this lovely. And they were just, if they're doing this business now, where it's crickets and you walk in and you're like, hi, and like you chat to them, you build these lovely relationships. And then if you check in with them over the next few weeks, like particularly one estate agent where we met a new guy and he was falling over himself to like help us because obviously no one else is buying. And we're sat there going, we've got the finance ready. We're looking for these kind of properties. And he was just like, it was brilliant. So he's gonna be so different from the estate agents you got 6 months ago. But the idea is we're not trying to, we're building a long-term relationship. And one of the estate agents we saw yesterday, it was the very first estate agent we saw when we started 12 years ago. His name was Tim. I talk about him a lot. Love Tim. And we saw him. We've been through every market with him now. And I know he will always, even at the peak, the craziness with like the last couple of years, Tim will find time to talk to us because he's a good estate agent. He knows us, we know him. So we always know that, we've got that relationship. So it's a difficult time for estate agents in the next couple of years. And we're not going to exploit him. We're going to work with him because we know that he worked with us when it was a difficult time for buyers. So that's what you're doing. You're building relationships. And when it's crickets, it's a nice time to do it. Talking to estate agents, building relationships with them as well as direct to vendor. Now is the time, talk to your key people, talk to your accountant, talk to your mortgage broker. You're not going to get good rates now. Like you're not going to get good rates because like I said, they're actually trying to stop people from lending, but have the conversations, build the team. And again, you don't have to do it now. We're doing it now because we're doing it early, but over the next 6 months, that's the prime time to do it. Get everything up and running. And then when that beautiful peak time hits, and it's a different thing, it's a personal thing for me. We're happy as the prices start tumbling because we know it's likely to be it'll probably get to 15%, and I might revise that at some point, but at the moment it could get to 15%. So the offers we're putting in are going to be representative of that. We're going to be saying, well, prices are dropping. We think it'll get to this point. We're not going to pay more than we need to. It's going to be representative. You also won't be able to get the lending if like, for example, now, if we went and tried to buy a 100 grand property and the valuers know that prices are coming down, they're not going to give you 100 grand's valuation. They're going to probably give you 85 grand. So even if you wanted to pay more, you couldn't. Like the valuers will stop that and the lenders will stop that. So yes, now is the time to get everything in place. And as the prices drop, you can put in the offers. And the idea is it's going to have to be low offers because the prices are dropping. Working with the right estate agents that, because it will be a really difficult time for them over the next year, but working with them in a very professional way, not just trying to get a really, really cheap property, like giving a genuine offer. You can potentially get some incredible properties, build some amazing relationships long term, because it's going to be a flat market for a long time. These estate agents are going to have to work harder than they have in the last 3 years. People forget quickly, so they got quite cocky, but they're going to be a little bit humbled in the next year, and this is a good time to build that relationship with them. Yeah,
it's a good time to position yourself, and like I said, make relationships, because they're going to remember you, because if you're the one coming in all the time and looking to do business, then you are going to be a memorable face. And it's also important, I suppose, now's the time to start really building relationships and connections with angel investors as well, isn't it? Because if the banks are...
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. That's a good point.
Banks are, the banks are going to be and ahhing about rates and giving you terrible rates, then there's still loads of people with loads of money out there. Like you always say, there's more people with money than there are looking to invest in property. So now's the time to find those people and, use their money.
Exactly. It's an easy sell as well because they're paying, there's 10% inflation. I've got someone I'm talking to at the moment, he's got 100 grand that's earning 2% per annum. So it's going down by 8% a year.
Rubbish.
And it's like, you can invest with us and get 10%. Like, I mean, you're actually only just keeping the money the same. But, that was the other important thing, that the prediction is that by January 2024, inflation will be back to around the 2% target. So again, they're going to go, woohoo, aren't we amazing because we did this thing. Anyway, but understanding that, be like, well, inflation is 10% at the moment. It will come down. So you're going to go from I'm losing 8% because my money's in the bank to I'm holding it for the next year, and then you'll be making 8% extra, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's an easy sell, and we're going to take your money. We're going to go and buy the cheap houses. We're going to be able to renovate, refinance. You won't have the 2 year. You don't really need the 2 year. You won't have a 2 year uplift, which you did like in the last kind of few years. But certainly getting the discounted properties, adding some value, then refinancing, possibly using some of the money coming in from the rents just to make sure you can repay that money. It's a technically easier sell. Well, it's just a different sell actually, but it's an easy sell in this market because everyone, particularly in the next few months, everyone's going to know prices are coming down.
Yeah. And as long as you know that, as long as whatever your investment plan, as long as you put that into place, that that's what the rates are going to do, and you know what these 2 years are going to be, rubbish for growth as such, then that's fine. As long as you plan around that, and then it's going to change. And we've also got, in 2 years, quite likely a government change as well. So that's going to, they're all going to be fighting over incentivizing things and putting things in place. And who knows what that's going to do as well to the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
Where are we up to?
That was it, really.
So go and invest quick.
That was my rant. But yeah, 2023, it's going to be a really exciting year. If you can keep your heads, take a step back, breathe, and go, this is what's happening. This is what's likely to happen. Also, as with everything, well, I always say, this is what I think is going to happen, therefore this is how I'm going to invest. And as it unfolds, then move with the market. If things change, deviate, because it's not going to be exact, but if they do maybe only drop by 7%, then I'll adapt my strategy accordingly. Maybe rates don't come down, don't settle next year. Maybe it's the year after, then I'll, adapt my investing accordingly. So this is what I think is going to happen. And by the way, I should probably caveat all this. We're not offering any financial, legal, tax or mortgage advice. We're just kind of saying, if you are interested in property, this is why it's potentially a good time to invest, and you should think about doing it, but go and talk to all the right advisors, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. Well, I think, like you said, I think we should, let's keep the podcast going on this, because obviously it's all very well giving advice and knowledge, and it's all wonderful, but I think people really do love following a bit of a journey, following a story, and it's all very well, you hear a lot of advice like this, but not many actually tell you what they're doing themselves. So if we can follow, yours and my investment journeys along with this, and we'll share what we're doing, we'll share, what we're planning and what we're investing in, and you can follow along as well. Hopefully anybody listening is actually again, there's no point in listening if you're just listening. That's great. If it's entertainment for you, then that's wonderful. But if you're looking to invest and you're listening along, there's no point in listening if you're not doing anything. So the best way to do it is to follow, especially Anna. Anna's on fire at the minute. So follow what Anna's doing. You know that she's gone out and spoken to estate agents this weekend. So next weekend, why don't you go and do that? If you're listening, watching, go and talk to estate agents, do what Anna's doing, and then you'll hear the results in next week's episode. I
will actually just add a quick thing. Don't necessarily believe the estate agents. I feel like that's an obvious thing, but I spoke with one estate agent yesterday, and they said, I don't think the prices are going to come down. And I was like, they already are. I didn't say it, but I was like, I think it's a fun question to ask. Ask the question and then stay silent and see what they say. And I asked almost all the estate agents I spoke with, and most of them kind of flapped around and avoided the question, which is fine. One of them outright said, I don't think they're going to come down. And I was like, you've just lied to my face. Like, I just don't believe that you believe that. But it's not, and I'm not judging him at all, because I understand that it's a difficult conversation to be had, because they don't necessarily realize that I'm okay with that. And it doesn't put me off. You know, I could just be someone that really has no idea and have come in. But yeah, so don't necessarily believe everything an estate agent tells you.
Yeah, they're there to do a job. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And also, don't necessarily believe everything that me and Richard tell you, because we might be wrong. I mean, hopefully we wouldn't lie to your face. I mean, again, I think maybe he was just trying to convince himself. But it is so important to be discerning and to research and look into it. And that's why I was like, go and look at Land Registry. I'm also posting on my TikToks. One of the things that one of the tools that I use to see our house prices coming down was I literally went to Northampton, because that's where I invest, and I just looked for my lovely 2 or 3 bedroom non-auction property that's in fair condition. But I basically went to I filtered from the cheapest properties, and I went to page 2 or 3, so it's not just like the really cheap ones, and every other listing is reduced on this day, reduced on this day, reduced on this day. That was why I was like, well, that seems to me that prices are really starting to come down. It might be I might be, like I said, I might be completely wrong. They might just be plateauing and I'm completely wrong. But if you can't get the lending, if the banks seem to be actively saying don't buy houses, then anyway. I won't go off again.
Okay, well, we'll bring this episode to an end, because we wanted it to be short and sharpish to make sure that, ish. So, Anna, where can people go if they want to contact you or find out more information?
I'm really sorry. Can I just quickly add one other thing? It's just that I know I'm so rude. Like, how dare I?
Fine, go for it.
It's just to say, there's 2 things actually. Is if there's anything, and I know you're probably going to say this, but if there's anything that you would like us to specifically share, I really want to talk about direct to vendor. I know we talked about it early on, but I really want to talk about direct to vendor, because I'm going to be doing my direct to Avenger. Avengers.
It's a new one.
I'm going to be doing direct to vendor. So I really want to share again a little bit about my journey. I'm going to be redoing my marketing and doing some research and my wording and everything like that. So as I start to do that, I'd really like to share that, because as I said, relationships with estate agents, direct to vendor and auctions are like the 3 best ways to get really good deals. So I think we should maybe revisit all of them for the new markets. But if there's anything you specifically want us to cover, then let us know. And we'll try and put it in. The other thing I wanted to say was something that I really want to do, because I'm so excited about what's coming not this year, but I was considering, because my buy-to-let course the intention was always to run it every 2 months, but it never happens that way. It's normally every 4 months. I was like, I want to run it like every month, or I want to do it in a way where it's more accessible to people, like particularly now with like prices dropping. So I would love to hear your feedback. If you would like to, like, how would you like me to run it every month? Are you interested in doing it? Or is there another, I don't know, just any feedback. Would you like some support and help getting started, I guess, is maybe the better way of doing it. In what way can we help you in a more tangible way, help you get up and running if that's what you want to do? I don't want to be selling, like, this space isn't for me to sell my courses and things like that. But if you are like, I really want to get started, how best can I help? If there's lots of people who want to do it, how best can I help you?
Yes, fabulous. So where
can they contact me? Please. So propertyempress.com, there's a contact form, or you can email me at Anna@AnnaPearce, which is PEARCE.com. You can also direct message me on Instagram.
So this really is a great opportunity for anybody listening. If you do want to, say, guide the direction of the podcast, or what you want us to cover, and also with Anna, if you want to, do some training with Anna, this is a perfect opportunity now. And like I said, this podcast isn't here to sell courses. it's just an amazing opportunity while you're here and while we're listening sort of live with the market as it's going along. This is a great opportunity to, start your journey. Don't wait is the whole idea of this podcast. Stop waiting.
Absolutely. You can also invest, because we work with angel investors. So if you want to invest and not do it, you can book a call. We can talk about it. If you want to work one-to-one, we can do it. But if you just want to, if there's enough people who want to do it, then I can set up some kind of group something to help people. But no pressure. Only if you want, only if you're feeling called.
Yeah. The podcast will be here. We'll be telling you everything that we're doing. All these sort of experiences that we're going to be having. You're going to be hearing it all anyway. But if you want more personal one-to-one stuff, then the option is there.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening, everybody. It's lovely to be back on a regular basis again. The next show will probably be from another place. I'm going to be different location.
Is it the same location as last week?
This is my dad's house.
Oh, it is?
Here. Yeah.
I thought you were home for some reason.
No. I know. Come on. I know. I'll say that. My room at home is just white as well. So
it's only because you've moved, so I don't know your house that well now. I knew your old house a bit better.
Yeah. But next week we'll be back in the studio. And,
cool.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye.